Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running talk show on computers and technology. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome into a wonderful, wonderful day. As we get things started here, we have a great show planned for you with Mr. Sweepy himself, Sweepstakes Today. Yeah, it's been a little while since we had him on. And for all of you newcomers who have maybe never heard his interview before, or, I've never really heard of his service, it's, the way that I got the impression before when we first talked to him, it's a hobby that you pick up, and it's a hobby that, it can get really fun, really rewarding, and it's something that, our guest today really keeps close to himself because, he started the service, he started everything, and, he is a practitioner. He's not just he's not just someone who started a business. This is something that he has done and he does do. So, yep, have him on. Very happy to have him on. And so everyone out there, welcome into the show. And before we get things started, we of course need to mention a few things, including computeramerica.com, of course. That's where you will find everything, including links to our guest website, links to anything and everything that we talk about on the show today, including articles, videos, reviews, things like that. And of course, the video and audio archives. So if you'd like to listen to the program again, miss anything, then we have it available at our website. Also, be sure to check out the live video stream where you can watch Computer America and not just listen. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And the last thing is, of course, well, I know today's going to be all about contests, but we indeed have one here that we run every single week for the foreseeable future. So we give away a prize from our friends over at Logitech, an M720 mouse. It's a $50 mouse. Give one of those away every single week. And yeah, we just had a winner last Friday. We'll have a winner this Friday. And yeah, of course, tune in to maybe just hear your name live on the air as we award it to a lucky listener. All of that and more, again, over at computeramerica.com. So with all of that out of the way, I think we're just going to jump right into our guest. So once again, we have Mr. Craig Daniels himself, aka Mr. Sweepy, joining us via phone, and he is the CEO and president of SweepstakesToday.com. And Craig, Mr. Sweepy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Our pleasure, and of course, it's great to have you on once again. You've been on, it's been a number of years, but hey, it's great to see that you're still running this thing and still, helping people out to enter contests and things like that. So, again, for anyone out there who maybe had not heard your story or heard of Sweepstakes Today, tell us of your humble beginnings. How did all this come about?
This is my 14th year when I incorporated, and I started Sweepstakes Today in 2003, and technically in November of 2003. Then what brought this about was I won my second truck at the Michigan 400. It was a Chevy Silverado, fully loaded, everything on it, and it was presented by Sam Hornish Jr., the race car driver, and it was the prize sponsors were Indy League, Firestone, and Chevy, and it was one of those most unforgettable moments in life that you would never ever forget. And I was on ABC News, ABC Sports, and it just went from there.
I can really tell that it obviously had an effect on you. I mean winning a second truck, I think a lot of people think it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to win one truck, or even just I'm I'll be honest. I won a prize. Like my fifth grade class was having a prize. You picked a key out of like 500 keys, and if your key opened the lock, then you get a prize. I'm still riding on that high. I mean, it was like a $20 chair, and I won, 20 years ago or something like that. I'm still riding on that high, and you have an entire website dedicated to, I guess, chasing that. Winning prizes. So why did you kind of start this? Because you won. I mean, you won. Why did you decide to go take it further and start a website and a business?
Well, you have to kind of go back just a few years before that, and I had my second back surgery in 1996, so I had to give up my weightlifting, my bodybuilding, and my golf, and all I had was computer and internet for entertainment, along with the TV. And so I accidentally ran across a online sweepstake, probably in 97, 98, and it all started from there. Now, why I started Sweepstakes Today? I was working as a consultant for some very large companies, not to say what the industry was or whatever, but I was kind of at the end of that period of time of working for them. And, I had a lot of people approach me, but the one person that kind of stood out in my mind, why I got Sweepstakes Today started, was after the giveaway and everything in Michigan, then came the PR stories. And I had PR stories from the radio, I had PR stories from TV, newspapers, and the newspaper stories went nationwide, and I ended up having a telephone call. Somebody looked me up back then, and this guy calls me up and asks me, "What is your secret?" Huh?
That is too funny.
Yeah, it could be funny in one way, but the guy was serious, and I was totally caught off guard. And I just simply said, "If you enter, you have a chance to win." And that's the bottom line. That's the simple truth. Sweepstakes and content, well, more than sweepstakes side of it, it's a numbers game, and people call it, luck and all that. The closer you will ever hear me say luck is fate and destiny, because I really don't believe in luck.
Right.
It's about just getting your entries in and hoping for the best.
Right, and that, I guess, is for anyone out there who hasn't checked it out so far. Please do so. Sweepstakestoday.com. I mean, that is really something that you seem to be emphasizing here, because you don't just have like the sweepstake that you need to pay attention to, or this is one with a really big prize. Like, you have tons and tons and tons of sweepstakes for millions of dollars worth of prizes. I mean, it's obviously a numbers game, and you really you really kind of exemplify that. So, I mean, over the years, if you're following your own logic, which I assume you do, what have you kind of won? I mean, you mentioned your trucks, but what else? What else have you won in these contests?
Well, I've won 4 TVs, camcorders, digital cameras, trips, cash, both on sweepstakes and contests. Now, that's another subject we can talk about, but it was like last night I put up a message just before yours to the members, and we had one lady, Sharon, and she won a contest, and it was a Vote for Me contest, and she walked away with $10,000.
Wow.
And she's a pretty much a disciple of Sweepstakes Today, and she emailed me today and said, "Well, Craig, I'm up over $30,000 now." And you don't know what that makes me feel. It's a pretty wonderful feeling to help these people win. And her story was in a contest that was about her, and she had cancer, and she beat it. And she's just a very loving and caring person if you read the story and get to know her. And it's just you hear so many of these stories about people, and you start to think, the website is not just about winning prizes. It's about a family we created over those years. And we're pretty big in terms of membership, but I like to think that we're even bigger in terms of our family. And I consider every one of those members who come to Sweepstakes Today as part of my family.
Right, very well said. Because it's not about going there, pressing two buttons, and it enters everything for you automatically, and blah blah blah. Feel free to correct me, but it really feels like the purpose of the site is to, of course, let others know, but letting others know and having other people enter. Because if you were looking to maybe increase your chances of winning, and trying to keep it an isolated event, you wouldn't tell anyone. You wouldn't make a website like this. You would have a Word document on your computer, and you would just be doing it by yourself. But there's a real social aspect to this, right?
Exactly, and I can't tell you all the wonderful stories I've heard. I mean, it comes from people with health problems to people with just struggling to make it along, and then all of a sudden win a lot of money or cash or whatever, and then it changes their lives. And for me, I made a friend for life out of those people, and I want them to be friends. And so yes, it's about the social side of the site as well. And if you want to put us in the social media category, by all means do.
Right.
But on the flip side of it is I also work with a lot of large advertisers and ad agencies, and I get them very good results as well. And so it's a win-win situation for all.
Right. So let's talk a little bit more about the specifics. So let's take someone out there who's listening who maybe does not enter any kind of contest. They feel that it's just another form of advertising. It's a waste of time. No one ever wins those things. Blah blah blah. How would you recommend someone get started in doing what kind of what you've built up here? How does someone start doing sweepstakes?
Well, if you come to Sweepstakes Today, first off, one of the complaints about entering sweepstakes, and probably missed notions, is there are a lot of fake sweepstakes out there. And that's not really the case. Now, there's some sweepstakes I don't necessarily trust, but you won't see them on Sweepstakes Today. And we have our own internal security, and we watch who the sponsors are, the prizes, and in some cases who administrates the sweepstakes. And so we have our own security, and so you don't have to worry about that. In other words, if Chevy or Ford or Walmart gives away a prize, I know they're going to give that prize away.
Right.
You don't have to worry about just entering and not even having a shot to win. That's the number one point to begin with right there. So you don't have to worry about that. The next aspect is just simply coming to the site, entering in for the prizes that you want to win. If you can't take the time off to take a trip, don't enter the trips. If you want to win cash, go after it. If you need a new car, go after it. A boat, whatever out there, or new camera or whatever.
Right.
Go after the prizes that you want to win. Okay, that's number one. Some people, there was like one guy I remember a long time ago won a trip to Galapagos Islands, and he was actually entering in for the second prize, which was a digital camera, and didn't even think about winning the trip to go see the iguanas or whatever, So, he had a problem. They wouldn't give him the second prize. So, those things happen as well.
Right.
There are prizes lower in value that give you better odds. They may be giving 10 away cameras or 10 gift cards away, and you want to win one of those, and here you end up winning grand prizes. So those situations do come up, but they're fairly rare, but it does happen.
Yeah.
And then you want to it's a daily activity. It's a hobby. You got to treat it as a hobby, not to get too emotionally high or too emotionally low about it. You don't win, you go on to the next, next sweepstake. And if you do 25 to 50 sweepstakes a day for a year, you got a pretty good shot of making, what we call our 10K club. That's winning $10,000 in
That
ARV.
is a big prize, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where the mathematical side of this comes into play. It's how many entries you get in increases your odds of winning, and that's what it really is about, and nothing to do with luck. People use that word. I'd like to have that word taken and burned out of the Funkenwagenal dictionary, as far as I'm concerned about it. But but if you keep it as a hobby, it's going to be fun for you.
I think it's luck because people. I think when they consider kind of giveaways, they think of the of the Powerball lottery or whatever lottery, and the mathematical odds of those are so astronomically larger than I think the average contest that you're talking about here. That they think it can only be luck. There's only one one winner out of X amount of entries. But I mean, but these sweepstakes, they the only people that can win are only the people that enter, and so it seems like you have a much better chance, and that's what you're really finding and what your users are finding. It's like if you enter, you have a chance.
If I may, let me address that. When I won the truck, the Firestone Chevy truck, and that was nationally advertised, and any sweepstake is nationally advertised is going to have a large number of entries. Like in this case, they were advertising, Firestone was and Chevy was, on TV. So they were spending a lot of money on this promotion. And so we had, I asked them what it was, and it said 365,000. So, it got down to 1 out of 365,000 on that one. But one of those TVs was a Super Bowl sweepstake, and it was a RCA 61-inch high definition, one of the very first high definition TVs to ever come out. And particularly that big, and they had less than 5,000 entries for that. Why? Because they didn't advertise it, and it actually didn't hit the search engines. And that was before Sweepstakes Today, and somebody just shared it on the internet, and I picked it up and ran with it and entered and won. And by God, they had that TV the day before the Super Bowl in 2000, and we had a big party, and they not only delivered it, they installed it and brought it in the house, and that sucker weighed a monster, and so it was a lot of fun. And cool. But the point is that different sweepstakes in contests too have different odds of winning, and a lot of these sweepstakes are very short run. They don't get any advertisement. Sometimes the sponsors and the ad agencies say, "Hey, let's just try it this way without any advertisement," or something gets screwed up in the in the process where they don't get their ads out in time, so they don't run them.
Yeah.
And so a lot of things happen behind the scenes that people don't hear about or know about, and that affect the odds on these sweepstakes and your chances of winning.
No, it makes perfect sense. I mean, we see it here on the show every single week where, we give away our prize, and, more often than not, we make contact with them and they say, "Oh, wow, I never thought I would win." I mean, they're very happy, they're very excited, but, they don't seem too optimistic, but hey, they can still get their moment in the sun. So, I'm kind of poking around your site here, Sweepstakes Today, and I'm seeing, of course, a ton. You have 665 sweepstakes totaling $27 million here, but I'm seeing a star rating system. So let's talk about your service and what these stars kind of mean for the end user.
Well, we place the stars because some members just won't go on the lower value prizes. You know, those get a, half star to 1 star, and then the 4 to 5, 4.5, 5 rated stars. Those are your cars. Those are your very large cash prizes, or a sweepstake that offers a whole bunch of big prizes in it, like trips, for example. And so usually my 4 stars or 5 stars is like $30,000 and above in value. And we kind of just, I let my staff kind of play with it exactly, but we got it down pretty good. If it's a $50,000 prize, it's going to get 5 stars. But that gives the members a starting point that says, hey, it's kind of like a flashing, do I want to enter this or not, even look at the sweepstake to begin with. And so that's a starting point for many of the members. So we try to make it easy for the members to decide what sweepstakes or contests that they want to enter, and we give them all the information, and that's the reason why we cut and paste a lot of the prizes, not just prizes, but the rules and some of the important aspects of the rules in the remarks section. So we want you to know up front what you're getting into, what you're entering beforehand. And that's one of the keys we think is most of the competitors don't necessarily go to the length that we do on that. And so we want the members to be comfortable up front. Now, there's some that in my own mind that I have questions about, but sometimes we go ahead and run it. Sometimes the sponsor will say, well, we know we have a little issue with this, but can you go ahead and run it? And, normally I say yes, but I've turned down some sweepstakes too. I turned down 4 or 5 sweepstakes last week because I didn't feel comfortable with what the sponsor was saying. And it would come across to the members, and they know about it. They read these things as close as I do, some of the members do. And some things are a little bit more automatic, like if you see Ford or Chevy, for example, you know what you're getting in a sweepstake with those guys. Because they're usually going to offer a trip or a car or both. That's just the way they are. They give away their own products. And so, but sometimes you get, like I said, the unknown sponsors out there who are trying to build a business, and they may be very legit, but, I don't have a track record with them.
Right. So
sometimes I'll watch them for 6 months, a year, or 2 years before publishing them. So I try to build in the safety in sweeping and make it a good quality hobby. And that's the things that I was brought up in life is you treat everybody honestly 100% in business, and so it's just a good business practice on my part.
Definitely. So, well, in that same vein of honesty and openness, about the sweepstakes that you curate, I mean, obviously you have a large list here. You have a lot of them. Do you only kind of collect and curate, sweepstakes that sponsor you, or is this just anyone that crosses your desk that you say, this is a prize, I trust them, blah blah blah, or is it strictly, if it's on your site, they are partnered with Sweepstakes Today?
Well, it's both, Ben, meaning that I get a lot of times I use a sweepstake to advertise Sweepstakes Today. In other words, XYZ may have a sweepstake out there, very nice prizes, very well known, and I may run with them for a few years for nothing, and then they'll start to notice maybe I may not publish the sweepstake by accident, and then I get an email and Mr. McDaniel, our numbers dropped way off. We didn't see you hear about your sweepstake, and so that's when we get into dialogue. So there's a lot of sweepstakes I don't get paid on, but there are a lot I do, and the ones that do pay me, they get a lot of extra privileges, known or unknown to the members, you know, and
Right.
so I do a lot of extra things to help them. You know, it's like we also have a social media campaign. The ones that I put up in social media, generally, I'm working with those companies, but I also do some things from the SEO standpoint or search engine standpoint, and to help out Sweepstakes Today.
Right. No, and again, I was simply asking. I mean, obviously, you have things like featured contests, which are either large prizes or, you know, exactly, they're featured as in you have a partnership with them. But it's good to know that you know, you aren't just in this for pay me or you're not going to get access to my audience. It's, you know, I'm going to curate what I feel is a good, you know, medley of contests to enter. So no, it's you know, obviously this is something that anyone can enter. I mean, for the end user, do you provide, like, other than a list that they can kind of enter, and of course, you know, you are pretty good at weeding out the, you know, the unknowns and the cheaters and scams, but do you provide any kind of help maybe filling out the forms, or do you have like an automatic registry button? What do users kind of get when they use your service?
Well, first off, Ben, we also comply with state and federal laws in regarding privacy, children's laws. You know the alphabet of laws out there.
Yeah.
And so we do follow those, you know, fairly closely. And so we can't automatically enter in a person ourselves into a sweepstake. That would be, and obviously, you know, against the law to do so, without, and particularly without their knowledge. Now, there have been some services that did that, and now they disappeared. They were prominent maybe 7, 8 years ago, and they charged. Now, there's another law that I don't want to get into in a number of states, including Oklahoma, that make membership, if you charge a membership, it's actually against the law to enter in a sweepstake. It's crazy as can be, you know.
Yeah.
I want to use another word for that, but I can't on air. But
Right.
It's one of the most bizarre laws on the books, and it has to do with gambling. And we're not a gambling site, but we got stuck into part of these laws into gambling. So, you know, we have to watch a lot of things, what we do and what we put up, and that's the first thing, and one of the things I wanted to let the members know, why we don't always run everything. And it gets complex at that point in time. Now, what else we do for the members? A member can also get some services, some apps out there that will autofill a entry form. In other words, say like if you were entering a Microsoft contest or a Google contest, let's say, they will automatically go in there and place those. That app will place your name, your address, your zip code, city, telephone number, and that basic type information. That saves a ton of time. I use Microsoft Autocomplete. It's not as fast as the other ones, but I know what the reason why I personally use it is I've been using it for years. It takes longer, but it gets the job done right, and I have a really high sense of security with it. And there's some other forms. There's Google Toolbar that has it, and there's other forms out there that you can use to fill in those. And then I have last chance sweepstakes. It lets you know the last week of a sweepstake, and it sounds like we got a commercial coming up.
Yeah,
here.
we do. And sorry, I'm going to cut off right there, but we do indeed have a commercial coming up. Everyone will be right back with more Computer America, more Mr. Sweepy, more Craig Daniels right after this. Everyone stay tuned.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 31 minutes past the hour as we continue on here with Mr. Craig Daniel, aka Mr. Sweepy, and we are talking. He's the president and CEO, by the way, of Sweepstakes Today, a website that we are talking all about. And yeah, it's today's show was all about winning prizes, about hey, investing a little bit of time, some effort, and Mr. Sweepy, if I'm not mistaken, I've used the term a couple times, but you kind of see this as something that, of a hobby that you invest, an equal amount of time, a couple hours a day, or, whatever you can spare. And it pays off in the end in the form of, well, looking through some of your contests here, $100,000 or a variety of chip pack or computer parts. I mean, yeah, you have anything and everything under the sun here. So, and also before the break, I believe you're talking about some tools that, kind of serial contest enterers can kind of get, have the power users of contests where they have, forms and, just easier ways to enter.
We started probably the best forum on the internet, and particularly for sweepstakes, quite a few years ago, and it's called My Lucky List. And My Lucky List is a place where, say like you see that $100,000 prize, and it's a daily entry prize, and you want to make sure you don't miss it, every day, because the more entries you get, you fill up that entry box. My Lucky List allows you to place that sweepstake in your own computer program, basically, if you want to call it that, instead of an app. And it tracks every single sweepstakes that you enter, how many times you enter, when's the last day you enter, when's the sweepstake end. So the information about that. And a lot of my members have, 100, 200, 300 sweepstakes in their My Lucky List. And sometimes they use it for other reasons, that I don't even know about sometimes, I think. But we're getting ready to also come out with a new version, maybe as soon as this weekend, of Sweepstakes Today. And this has been a project been in the work for almost 5 years now, and we had some problems programming it, and we were the primary reason was Google, and not to get into that, but we got in a big brouhaha with Google, and even Google's legal department got involved with some things that happened, and I don't want to bring that up on the air at this time, but they requested that we redesign Sweepstakes Today or else, and we felt the effects of the or else because we just couldn't comply with simply changing the website by moving some banners around. we were going to have to redo the whole website, and that's exactly what we did. We went in and also improved the programming for HTML5 to make it mobile, more mobile friendly. Let's say it's HTML5 now, but it just didn't look good on a mobile phone. And so we've done a lot on that, and we're not so much in the features for the members, but we're getting ready to sometime in the future create a couple more websites, and one is video sweepstakes, and then the other ones we may even venture into the TV land and create a online TV game show, but that's something our sponsors know about, and they're kind of drilling over that one. So we're looking at it, but it also takes a lot of money too, and so we have to watch what we're doing on that aspect as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can obviously take this, and very, very cool that that you may have a new website coming up soon. I know that Google did have a big thing about making sure that everything is mobile friendly, because they know that a lot of traffic nowadays is through smartphones. So trust me, we had to redesign our website. Like, we just redesigned it, and then Google came out with those rules a couple of years ago, and we had to do it right over again. It's not the funnest thing in the world, and yours is probably way more complicated than our website. But it's good to have that facelift. So looking forward to checking that out, see when it's up and ready to go. So Mr. Sweepy, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but is there any part of sweepstakes or the website or anything that we may have missed that you want to talk about?
One thing is the forum. Now, everybody from my sweepstakes site, Sweepstakes Today, knows that the forum is down, and it was the fact that we had newer programming on the website, and the forum was older, very old programming, and it created a big conflict where on the login. With the new site, we are finally going to be able to match up the old programming with the new programming, and it's just been a nightmare. And we had a lot of people that loved our forum and the way it was running, and we're also looking at another forum, but we've also kind of explored some ideas about creating not just advancing in the forum, but advancing in the social media, with maybe a third site out there in creating a cross between Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram into one that's dedicated for sweepstakes. That's a whole nother story in itself, but there's a demand out there for something like that, from the advertisers to the members and across the board on that. So the forum will be fixed, members. Trust me, it will be. I've heard a lot of, read a lot of email and comments about it, and it was like a second home to a lot of them, and I sincerely apologize for us not fixing this. It's just a technical issue that we were running into on it. So anyway, that's one issue that I wanted to bring up, one comment. And then the rest of the site, we have winners list where you can track your own winnings. We're thinking about advancing that more in the future too, to make it more complete. And we're going to be adding, right after we get the site up, then we're going to be doing some fine-tuning on some things and adding a sweepstake, ended or expired sweepstakes, and then adding some whole new set of categories. In part, there's some categories that we have that kind of don't necessarily recognize some things. For example, like there's a lot of guns and weaponry that are given away as prizes. I mean, these are really quality guns and rifles being given away, but we had to put them in sports categories because we didn't have any other category to put them in at the present time. And so we're going to be adding more categories like that, and then defining that categories a little bit better too in a third master category. And so we're looking at some things there, and that's going to happen pretty soon as well. So we're always looking, Ben, to update the site to make sure that we're not only the best out there, but we are absolutely, want it to the point that, the sponsors are happy, the members, won't, leave the reservation, if you want to use it, that term that way. But
Right.
That's popular here in Oklahoma. Everybody says leave the reservation, but it's more compassionate reasons for saying that. But anyway, so we're always looking at doing things better for everybody, and even if it costs me a lot of money out of my pocket, sometimes I do it, because it's the right thing to do, and so that's just the way I am. I can't take Sweepstakes Today with me when I go to heaven, but, at least the members will still be able to have the site up, if anything happens to me. So.
Oh, that's not going to happen. I'm sure that's not going to happen for a long, long time. Many, many sweepstakes to keep track of, and you are going to be doing it. So, this is great. So, again, everyone out there, we have a link directly from the show notes directly to Sweepstakes Today, or just check it out, sweepstakestoday.com. And yeah, hey, join up, enter, win your share of a lot of these prizes, because like you said, there's a lot of different kind of prizes. If you're just looking for cash, there's cash. If you're looking for guns, there's sports. If you're looking for computers and computer parts, there's that. Lots of different prizes for every persuasion out there. Go check it out. And with that, Mr. Sweepy, thank you so much for coming on. It's been far too long, and we should have you back on way sooner than last time. So thanks again.
Yeah, and thank you, Ben. And I got one final question for you, and you don't have to give an answer on this one, but Ben, what do you want to win, buddy?
What, me? Computers. That is a no-brainer. Like I've actually, I've been hiding it from everyone on the video portion, but I've been looking at, you have a lot of contests for things like processors, graphics cards, fully built computers. That's what I'm into. So I'm not gonna say which user I am, but I'm probably gonna enter a few of these and try to win some of those computer parts. But Mr. Sweepy, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun, and yeah, looking forward to having you back.
Well, I hope you win, and thank you very much, Ben.
Will do. Have a good one. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You bet. Bye-bye.
All right, everyone, and there he goes, Mr. Sweepy himself, Sweepstakes Today, and one last time in the show notes, link right there. And of course, I don't want you to forget that, yes, we are, that was a long segment for other people's promotions, but of course, Computer America, we have our own. Be sure to enter our own giveaway. We promise we are confidential. We are all on the up and up. And, of course, we have a winner every single Friday. So check that out. All right. Now, with all that said, why don't we jump into computer and technology news? So here we go. All right, and our first story that we're going to do today is, let me just get this right here, and there's a number of them, but there's a number that, how about this one? This is really interesting to me because, there's a big benefit to things such as Uber and Lyft and ride-hailing services that, taxis used to really fill, but at the same time, these things make it infinitely easier, infinitely more convenient, thanks to location-based services and things like that, that when you're drunk, and I know it's, never drink and drive, but ordering a cab while you're drinking is not the easiest thing to do because they want, where you are, they want your street, and sometimes, hey, let's face it, you're a little bit too inebriated to really pinpoint your exact location. So Uber and Lyft have really filled that role as an easy way to get, to get inebriated friends home. Well, now we have another option to do just that. And here we have it. This is from CNET, and Uber now lets you order rides for your drunk friends. That's right. Not only can you order them for yourself, but if someone's looking for a ride home, well, you can do that for them. And this is a new service rolling out in 30 countries. Will make it easier for the ride-hailing services for people other than you. So they say that a new service is rolling out today that makes it easier to hail rides for others, and Uber gets a tip-off when the pickup location you request doesn't match your current location. And the app will ask you to confirm you're ordering a ride for someone else, and then pick the rider from your address book, key in the destination, and kick off the process. So basically, like any other Uber or Lyft, ride you've ever taken, but then you and the riders can both get text that the car is on its way, along with all the usual driver details that you'd want to know, like the driver's name, license plate, and the view of the route or the car en route. And both you and the rider will be able to give the driver a call or text, and presumably, you'll be the one to foot the bill. So obviously the one who orders the ride, the one who hails the ride, would be the one to pay for the ride. Of course, Uber also, just a couple days ago, made it so that you can, kind of split the cab fare. So, that may come into play as well. But essentially, you can order for friends, you pay for it, blah, blah, blah. It's a nice thing to do. And especially if they have no other way of getting home, then this is, very, very good. So Uber's new ride ordering feature debuts in 30 countries, with more on the way. And of course, you'll need the latest version of the app to use it. So something that I think a lot of people were using it for that way, but the fact that they can make it a baked-in feature makes it all the more attractive for, this very narrow use case. So there you have it. You can now order Ubers for your friends. So if you happen to be the designated driver, but you don't feel like going out, well, you don't have to ruin everyone's time. You don't have to ruin everyone's time. You can just order someone else to drive your drunk friends around for you. All right. So, and with that, let's see. There's a couple others that I wanted to really get to. Let's do this one. So this is a big story, in that I think we all know about the WannaCry. I mean, we just talked security yesterday. We talked security with with our guest, and we talked all about the different kinds of malware out there, and how even if you have a solution, even if you have a fix for a problem, that doesn't mean the problem is null and void, because there are a number of servers, databases, computers, end users who simply are running old software. And that seems to be kind of the case with this new large-scale cyber attack that is spreading through Russia and Ukraine. This by Engadget, Ms. Mallory Locklear, and a number of targets, including banks and power companies, have been hit today. Now, we're going to get into the conspiracy theories after this article, but I'm going to say it right off the bat. This really feels like retaliation against Russian hacking on a state level. Like, just going off the headline, we'll get into the article and then we'll discuss it later. But this feels like a tit for tat when it comes to cyber warfare. But at any rate, a large-scale cyber attack is working its way through a number of Ukrainian and Russian targets today. And so far, in Russia, oil producer Rosneft and metal company Evraz, have been affected by the attack. In Ukraine, Boryspil Airport, the banking system, a state power distributor, and even Ukrainian government have been hit. Yeesh. And while the attacks have affected banking operations in Ukraine and will likely lead to some flight delays out of the Boryspil Airport, they don't seem to have impacted services on a grander scale, saying that Rosneft said on Twitter that because it had switched to a reverse control system, its oil production wasn't stopped. And a spokesperson for the Ukrainian power distributor told Reuters that the attack hadn't affected its power supplies or broader operations. So, yeah, to be clear, that means that the Russian metal company was not really affected, and it doesn't seem like really anything was too badly damaged. They said that it hadn't affected its power supplies or broader operations. So simply infected, but did not stop or anything. So the article finishes up by saying that Ukraine was the target of a slew of cyber attacks last year. That did happen, and it has since come out that the Russians were behind it. Obviously, there's no direct link between the hackers and Russia, but one can only assume that nothing originates on that large of a scale in Russia if it's not from or sanctioned by the government. So, the instances were all thought by Ukraine to have originated in Russia, but the origin of today's attacks, which have hit both Ukrainian and Russian infrastructure, are not yet known. And also, there are reports of ransomware called Petya is ravaging a number of countries throughout Europe, but it's unclear if the unknown virus reported to be affecting the Ukrainian and Russian companies is the same one. So a lot of cyber, warfare going on right now. There were other stories. I heard it, I believe through NPR, that they did a really good segment about the impact of Ukraine and Russia testing the hacking capabilities on infrastructure in Ukraine from Russia, simply because the two are at war, and war is kind of a little bit more gloves off than any other kind of conflict. So they kind of got away with it without they got away with a lot of testing that otherwise would have led to much harder sanctions. So it's the fact that it's so limited in Russia, the fact that it only affected two Russian companies, whereas it affected airports, power grids, and more in Ukraine. I'm not going to rule out Russia altogether. Of course, we'll find out in time where this was actually, coded, designed, and sent from. But this feels either retaliation against Russia, or this is Russians testing more of their, more of their spyware or more of their malware, and seeing how much damage they can do in, just simply using software. Long gone are the days of software can no longer harm hardware. We're seeing it on a national level now, and it's something that everyone, including the United States and private citizens, everyone should really keep an eye on, because this is really, we're looking at the future of warfare. The future of warfare is hacking, computer programming, and all that good stuff. So there you have it. All right. That's hopefully I didn't rattle you too much. I know we're having a good time here, but why don't we jump into something a little bit less scary? All right. How about interesting? And scary if you're Google, interesting if you're everyone else. But the UK, well, the EU, not the UK. The UK is no longer no longer going to be part of the EU. But here we have the EU has fined Google. Check this out. Has fined Google for $2.7 billion. That's a number. That is quite a number. And yeah, we'll see if they pay the full amount, but that is just crazy, crazy, crazy. So the article is a bit long, and we're going to try to get through this as quickly as possible, but they're saying that, and this coming from, by the way, the BBC, and by Mr. Leo Kellyan, saying that Google has been fined 2.42 billion euros, or again, $2.7 billion, by the European Commission after it ruled that the company had abused its power by promoting its own shopping comparison services at the top of search results. I mean, you know, it's something that I think a lot of people out there are going to say, well, duh, you know, Google is going to promote Google. How is that, you know, how's that a hard, you know, how's that unheard of? But in the EU, that is against distorting the market. So the amount is the regulator's largest penalty to date against a company accused of distorting the market, as we just said. The ruling also orders Google to end its anti-competitive practices within 90 days or face a further penalty. And they said that the U.S. firm may appeal. And if you're Google, $2.7 billion on the line, guaranteed, no doubt in my mind, you're going to appeal. Saying that, however, if it fails to change the way it operates the shopping services within the 3-month deadline, it could be forced to make payments of 5% of its parent company's average daily worldwide earnings. Crazy how much money Google makes. But based on the company's most recent financial report, that amounts to about $14 million a day. And the commission said it was leaving it to Google to determine what alterations should be made to its shopping services rather than specify a remedy. So Google, you messed up. You did something wrong. We're going to need you to stop doing what you're doing, but we're not going to tell you what to do. Just make it happen within 3 months. There is a level of ambiguity here that I'm sure Google is twisting in the wind about. So they said that what Google has done is illegal under EU antitrust rules. It has denied other companies the chance to compete on their merits and to innovate, and most importantly, it has denied European consumers the benefit of competition, genuine choice, and innovation. That seems fair. So Google had previously suggested that Amazon and eBay had more influence over the public spending habits and has again said it doesn't accept the claims made against it, saying that when you shop online, you want to find the products you're looking for quickly and easily, and advertisers want to promote those same products, which is why Google shows shopping ads connected to users with thousands of advertisers, large and small, in ways that are useful for both. So yeah, the article continues for quite a while. We have a link to it in the show notes, but I mean, it's Google. I have no doubt in my mind that Google is trying to put Google first, but in the EU, that seems to be a pretty cardinal sin, in that the free market, the idea that you have, well, whatever, it's Google fined for $2.7 billion. Check that out. That's a big number. That could buy a lot of, what is the EU's main export? Whatever EU's main export is, that could buy a lot of that. All right. Maybe cars, maybe German cars. But, so yeah, there's a couple other stories here that we're not going to be able to get to. Feel free to check them out in your spare time. But some that I would recommend include the fact that Twitter, yes, that's Twitter, they find that Twitter can detect crime up to an hour faster than police can, saying that the site could play an important role for the cash-strapped police departments, in that if there's crime and there's crime happening, people will take to social media and they will tag it and they will let others know what is happening almost immediately.
90 seconds.
Even faster than a phone call. So police departments are going to start monitoring Twitter to a larger extent. Some other stories include Facebook has 2 billion with a B, monthly users. Crazy. And things like Amazon has a new smartphone that has ads on the lock screen, blah, blah, blah. Everyone, go check it out, computeramerica.com. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So with all that said, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Computer America. I hope you had fun. I hope that maybe our guest will be able to win you some prizes. And I hope that you tune in tomorrow as we have on the show with us the man himself, Dick DiBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer, host of, I believe it's ABC's World News, and, the Gizwiz himself. tune in tomorrow as we talk all about that. So until then, everyone, have a great day. Catch you tomorrow, same time, same place, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Ten seconds.